Austin from Turbo Lab. In this video, I'm going to go over the Neon SRT4 turbo upgrade options. I have some people ask me about doing or upgrading the stock turbo. What I'm holding in my hand is an upgraded unit. This is originally a stage 3 turbo, so you have to have the stage 3 manifold for it. See, this one says Mopar on it, and to give you an idea what the factory turbo is on the SRT4, it's a TDO4L, and I'm not sure what it's classified as. It may be like a 13T, but I'm not really sure. But anyway, I don't like that turbo. The best thing, if you're trying to make power with your SRT4 for the Neon, you need to just toss that turbo and get you a stage 3 turbo with the stage 3 manifold. The difference and the reason why you have to do that if you want to make good power is because once you go with the stage 3, you get a TDO5H turbine, which is 49 millimeter by 56 millimeter. This is a reverse rotation, so this is just like the Evo 9, Evo 8 series. This cartridge is a lot bigger to mount up to the turbine housing differently, so you can't interchange this between the TDO4 turbine housing. So that's why you need to replace the whole manifold so you could fit the bigger turbo, because with the smaller turbo you can only upgrade that so big. So you could do like a small compressor wheel upgrade, but I don't think there's any turbine wheel upgrade options out there for the stock turbo. And even if there were turbine upgrade options out there, you're still not going to get as much power as if you just went with the stage 3 manifold and then the stage 3 turbo. So originally this turbo that I'm holding, I think it was a weird combination. I think it was like an 18G size. It was around 50 millimeter on the inducer, but the exducer was smaller than 68 millimeter, which is smaller than the 16G. This one we upgraded to a 20G, so that's 52.6 by 68 millimeter, and this one's a billet extended tip compressor wheel, so it's a 7x7 blade. Originally this turbo has a blow-off valve here, but this one has been deleted, so you can put a blow-off valve somewhere else. It's actually most efficient to have your blow-off valve or diverter valve right there on the compressor housing, because it will blow off at the latest point, which helps you pick up spool. That was originally a concept that was invented or came up with by Porsche. The reason that a diverter valve is better than having the blow-off valve in the charge pipe system is a lot of people put the blow-off valve at the throttle body, but you're not trying to protect the throttle body, you're trying to protect the turbo with the blow-off valve. So when you have it at the throttle body, as soon as that throttle plate closes, then the pressure gets backed up from the plate to the turbocharger, and then it's let off wherever the blow-off valve is. But having the blow-off valve right here on the compressor housing will allow the blow-off valve to go off later and allow you to have better response time with the blow-off valve closer to the turbocharger. Compressor housing to accommodate the 20G compressor wheel. Originally I think the compressor wheel was around 50 millimeter. It was some kind of odd wheel, and then we use the 20G compressor wheel. I'll leave a link in the description box to the rebuild kit that we use for this. It's the same as the Evo 8 and Evo 9 rebuild kit. And if you need the shafts, I do have those listed. The compressor wheel, I don't know if I have that listed, but if you do need that, I do have it in stock, so you could always email me about that if you want that part. The turbine wheel is a TDO5 HR9 blade, so this is reverse rotation, and because of it being reverse rotation, you need the reverse rotation rebuild kit, which has a directional thrust bearing. So I'll leave the link in the description box below so you don't buy the wrong kit. This turbine is the same size as the Evo 8 and Evo 9, so you could swap in an Evo 8 or Evo 9 turbo into the turbine housing, besides the differences of the wastegate mounting. The cartridge is the same thing as the Evo 8 or Evo 9 as well. And then the compressor wheel, in comparison to a factory Evo 8 or Evo 9 turbocharger, the Evo 8 an Evo 9 have a 16G compressor wheel that's 48.3 by 68 millimeter. And just to give you a reminder, this one's now a 20G, so it's 52.6 millimeter. The original 16G compressor wheel is good for around, most people make around 350 horsepower, but people peak on that around 400. With the 20G compressor wheel, people usually make between 425 to 450, depending on the size of the turbine wheel and how much flow you can get out of the exhaust wheel side. This is the original compressor wheel that was on it, so this is what we were repairing. The inside of the turbo is also pretty beat up on the inlet, so this is a big upgrade to be able to replace this piece because this was not boosting anymore. To answer common questions, usually people will ask me how much more boost is this going to do when I put that turbocharger on my car. To answer that question is it doesn't change the boost pressure, it changes the volume of air that it's compressing in the engine. Because the wheels are bigger, it moves more air volume. You can also run more boost pressure, which will flow greater amounts of air at higher boost levels than the original turbocharger that was on the car. To clear this up, if you're running 20 psi on the factory SRT4 turbo, you're going to make less power and move less air than 20 psi on this stage 3 turbo. For clarification, this is an Evo 9 turbocharger bearing housing, so it is wider. This is a shorter one. This is not an Evo 9, this is a DSM one. So the main point of this is I want to make sure you keep note of these heat shields. You could use either one of these heat shields as long as you have it matching the bearing housing. So if you have an Evo 8 or Evo 9, you can use this heat shield, or you could also use this heat shield. This is, we would call this the heat shield for the TD06H turbine. If you have that in your SRT4 Stage 3 turbo already, please request that you want the TD06H, the heat shield for the TD06H turbine in your rebuild kit. If you don't mind and just want to use this one and have this style bearing housing, then you could buy the kit as it sits on the listing. Now, this is what I wanted you guys to pay attention to because I've ran into this problem. This heat shield normally goes on this. This is a DSM bearing housing, and this one is the Evo 9 one. It's made like that because of the twin scroll, but because of the way this bearing housing is cut, the heat shield does not sit all the way down. This area right here can be cut back, just like that, or you must use this style heat shield. So you really have to pay attention to which heat shield you need based on the bearing housing that you take off of the Stage 3 turbocharger. I can't guarantee which one you'll have, but this style also comes in the Evo 8 form with the smaller diameter. So you could use either heat shield like I said, but this turbo right here, see it has the Evo 9, Evo 8 heat shield, so I know that this bearing housing was cut down like this, and that's the original. This is the original bearing housing for this Stage 3 here, but I don't know which bearing housing you'll have, so pay attention to that as you're working on your turbocharger. If you want us to do this service to upgrade your current Stage 3 turbo for your Neon SRT4, we can do that, but please don't contact me about upgrading the stock turbo because that's just something that I'm not doing and I don't plan to ever do that. I always recommend that people go out and buy the Stage 3 turbo and manifold if they're looking to upgrade from the original TO4L turbo. And if you already have one of these and the Stage 3 turbo, I can do that upgrade for you just like I showed in this video, or we could do the rebuild. If it does need a replacement compressor wheel though, I don't know what wheel that is, so I probably can't get that for you. So if you want to try and fix it, then we could always machine it to a larger wheel size. That's all for this video. If you learned something or want to leave a comment, you can also comment that below in the comment section.